Now, we have heard a lot from our leaders in the first half, listening to what they echoed about how we can stand up together as solidarities to fight this battle. Now let's hear what our local Chinese parents will share with us of their experiences and their hope. Now let's welcome Bill Lowe.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Lowe, and I am a resident of Westfield and also the parent of 2 boys who attend our local schools. Like many of you, I am also saddened and appalled by the events that have been covered by the national media in San Francisco, Oakland, Atlanta. These places might seem far away from here, but Westfield is not immune to acts of discrimination. When we moved here a couple of years ago, my family struggled with our younger son being made fun of at school because the lunch that we packed for him was different. He was also called a Chinaman, and this is in 1st grade. We thought this was an isolated incident, and we dealt with it with the support of the school at the time. However, recent events have sparked a lot of discussion among Asian families in our community, and many of them have shared similar experiences, oftentimes affecting their children. Each of these events takes a toll, however small, because the person at the receiving end starts to question whether they belong, whether they are a permanent foreigner in the country that is their home. However, with this event today, and with your support, I am hopeful. And I hope that in our schools and in our town, we can do more to show that the Asian community contributes to the cultural and diverse tapestry that makes this town a great place to live. Thank you.
I like his forward-looking statement. Now let's also have Jesse Chiang from our member of the Westfield Chinese American Association come over to share his voice. Her voice.
Thank you everybody coming all along today to here to support Chinese community and support your Asian colleague, support your Asian friend and Asian neighbors. Thank you. And I especially want to thank you. There's a couple come all the way from East Brunswick, 45 minutes, come to support us. And Monique and Marik, where are you? And thank you so much. I wear this orange jacket, and it's Michael Kors brand. I love this jacket. But I call this jacket a fight jacket. 5 years ago, I went to New York City, and I joined protest for unfair court judgment for our Asian police officer, Peter Liang. Today, I wear this jacket, come here to join peaceful rally about Stop Asian Hate. I hope I can put this jacket away tomorrow and no more hate, and no more discrimination. Short moment. I forgot what I have to say. So, okay, for a long time, and Asian minority has been titled our model minority, and we work so hard and we don't complain. I want to ask everybody down, how many people love Chinese food?
Yes.
Okay, when holiday comes, Christmas time, Thanksgiving time, and New Year Eve, there's no store opens. But if you go to local Chinese store, always open. You're always going to have a wonton soup. They work so hard. They're almost everyone is first generation immigrant. They work for survival. They work for their children. And they're not here, and maybe not you, but they're maybe your mom and dad, maybe your grandfather, grandmother. And they came here when they first came to the United States. They work hard. And that doesn't mean we can take advantage. Atlantic, is tragic. And Asian discrimination, this problem has been exist decades, many years. Asian people there's a lot of cases, maybe not even noted and recorded, because we like to keep everything inside of us. And we had this unfairness, discriminated behavior. Sometimes we just broke teeth and throw into the stomach. That's a Chinese saying. So we don't complain. Maybe that's why we've been called, model minority. But it's the time, it's a wake-up call. It's a trigger. Then we have to stand up and say something. Stop discrimination and stop hate. And not only just for Asian people, but for all races. And yesterday is Black Lives Matter. Today is Asian hate. What is tomorrow? What race will be the victim? We have different colors, and we have different beliefs, religious, culture. But we are all American. We together build a great nation. And we hold love in our heart. And we want to pass the love to everybody around us, to our children, to our next generation, children's children, grandchildren. And thank you very much.
I always love Jessie's voice. Very strong, very inspiring. Now, we also have the friends from different associations come over here today to support us in this event. First, let's welcome the president of MLK Association, Liz Wolf.
Thank you, Lou. First, I'd like to acknowledge that we gather here today on Lenape land. We are all settlers here. The Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Association of Westfield is honored to be included in this rally to stop Asian hate. We have been around for 34 years in this community, and it is our purpose to fight for racial and social justice. Just as we support and fight against anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, obviously, civil rights, we also are happy to lend our voice and our support to fight against Asian hate. We see ourselves as an umbrella under which all communities that are victimized by racial hatred can find support. And we are very happy to welcome the Asian community and our friends and neighbors here in Westfield into our umbrella. And we pledge to stand by you. I'm happy to introduce Donnell Carr, one of our longest members and our President Emeritus. He would like to say a few words.
Thank you, Liz. Liz is very gracious. She asked me if I would say a few words, and I thought about it. I said, yeah, I'll say a few words. But we have been, as Liz says, and let me just say one thing, because the rabbi is here. Every time I drive by the Temple Emmanuel, and almost every time, I read what it says inscribed on the stone out there in front of it, that we are to show mercy, do justice, and walk humbly with God. And that affects me every time I see it. What we are, as Liz already has alluded to, what we are as an association is we feel we have a duty to do justice. There are two kinds of injustice. The first is found in those that do an injury, and the second is those who fail to protect another from injury when they can. And we don't want to fall into either of those categories. We feel it's very important to stand up for justice for everyone. So we do find ourselves in the same place that we continue to keep finding ourselves in, and we wonder why. And I just want to say one thing, it's maybe a little different. But I think part of our problem that as a nation, we have never really fulfilled our potential to become a truly great nation. We really never have. It's hard to build on the foundation something strong and something that gets better if the foundation was poorly planted, if it was a weak foundation. And we know the history of our country. We know that some of the things that happened to all of our communities. We know about the enslavement of African peoples. We know about the Chinese people and what happened to them in 1882, the Chinese Exclusion Act. We know about the internment of Japanese during the World War II in the 1940s. We know about the Holocaust in the 1940s in Europe. We know about these things, but the one thing that crossed my mind is that there's a reason why they keep happening, and it's because of the lie. The lie is still being told, and what is happening right now in Georgia is happening because of the same lie. There are those who really believe, I guess they believe, that somehow they merit more, they're more worthy than others. And so they tell the lie. And the lie goes on, I'm better than you. You're not up to my standards. You're this, you're that. That's all a lie. And we know it's a lie. The truth is that we're all part of the same human family. And whether we know it or not, or whether we like it or not, we're all kinsfolk. We are all kin. Our blood is the same. We have the same types. It's either A or B, a zero, something like that, we know. We're all part of the same family. So our organization, the Dr. King Association, which has been in this town for 34 years, promoting justice, we declare that we will continue to do that, and we will continue to support the Asian communities. We will continue to support you. We invite you to become more involved with us because, you know, together there's strength. When we work together, we are stronger. So we stand with you as you undergo the examination and testing of your dignity, because this is really what it's about. No one wants their dignity to be challenged. No one wants their dignity to be harmed. We stand with you and we exhort you to be stern and stout-hearted and courageous. We are with you in this fight. Together we will be very strong. The more divided we are weaker. There is much strength in unity, and we exhort you to continue to be hopeful. Thank you. Liz did mention that we're on Lanaya land, and she was alluding to the fact. She mentioned that, and it's the fact. The fact is, American history is founded on taking the land from the people who lived here.
And it's still the case, though.
And it's still the case.
As young people, they should be aware in case they want to join that party.
Yes, and what we want to say is, young people especially, be aware of these things. And older people, remember the Crosby, Young, Nash, Stills, I think. Teach your children well. Thank you.
We're all born equal, free in dignity and rights, and justice is everyone's responsibility. Well said. Now let's welcome the member from the Italian American Association of the Westfield, Mr. Mark LaGrippo. He's also our councilman.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a real honor and pleasure to be here. Thank you to the community for inviting the Italian American Club to this event today. I've been a long-time councilman for 10 years, and it's great to see so many people in the community that came out today. And to those who are celebrating Passover, happy Passover. But today I'm representing the Italian American Club. It was founded in 1932, and I'd like to recognize Rocky, who's also the owner of Buono Pizza, but does a fabulous job running the club, and all of our Italian Americans that came out today. I'd also like to recognize, I see Senator Kane here. Thank you for your leadership. And I see former Councilwoman, longtime Councilwoman Joanne Nealon, so thank you for your service. Today I speak to everyone as an Italian American and as a practicing Catholic to strongly denounce hate in whatever form it takes. In America and right here in Westfield, Italians were discriminated for a long time in the past and have experienced prejudice. And it is clear that it makes strong voices from people who are committed to bringing positive actions, not just words, but actions that bring us all together. Unite us and celebrate our diversity. I stand with members of the Westfield community to speak against hate, and we will not tolerate anti-Asian racism or hateful acts. So please, let's all join together and forge forward and make the community the best it can be. And thank you again, and again, happy Passover to those celebrating.
Thank you very much for all the support. It's really inspiring. And now let's wrap up our protest by hearing what our students from the Westfield want to share with us of their perspectives and voices. First, let's welcome the Chiang sister, Cindy Chiang and Anna Chiang. Come on the stage.
Hello everybody, my name is Cindy Chung. I'm currently a first year graduate student, and I just want to start out by saying thank you all for showing your support and continued dedication to stopping Asian hate. Just like you, I'm not here today just for myself. My experience speaks for many other Asian students like me, daughters like me, older sisters like me. I'm here today because this is the first time that I'm really able to voice that anger and that guilt and that fear of the stereotypes that have bullied us throughout life. In middle school, I had this green lunchbox I really, really loved, and it made my mom happy because that meant that she could bring lunch for me too, and so I didn't have to buy cafeteria lunch every single day. For a long time, she would prepare my favorite dishes, like cold noodles, stumped dumplings, some rice, and she would bought me a little thermos because I could keep my food warm until 5th period. But in 7th grade, I moved to a new lunch table with new friends, and these friends weren't so familiar with the foods that I brought. They told me that it was weird looking or that it smelled funny. So for the next 2 years, I covered my lunch every single day until I made it to high school. I didn't really think about the fact that my mom had woken up an hour before me every day to prepare these lunches. I just only cared about what other people thought, and in the end, since 7th and 8th grade, these microaggressions have grown into even bigger and more violent acts of hatred. I now live in New York City, and school is about a 10-minute walk away from my apartment. A month ago, I was walking to school, and a random man came up to me and started walking alongside me. He pointed at me and he said, "Let's go get some bubble tea." Okay. So, as I was walking, this man came up to me and he pointed at me and he said, "Let's go get some bubble tea." I shook my head because I knew that I shouldn't encourage this kind of behavior, and I continued to walk along to school. However, this man continued to follow me for the next 2 or 3 blocks, and finally I got to the public safety office and I went inside for safety. Otherwise, I don't know what this man could have done to me. I don't know what he had on his possession. I had nothing to protect myself. Now it's not just me versus the stereotypes. Now it's us and our loved ones versus an entire wave of anti-Asian hate. I know that many of us in our communities are scared, and I understand that. But enough is enough. I'm tired of having to change the subway car that I'm in because of a suspicious person with their hands in their pockets. I'm scared of someone saying, "Are you angry that you don't go to an Ivy League school because you're Asian?" I'm tired of being asked where I really am from. The way we are going to get over this fear and frustration is by reaching out to our communities like today, educating each other and fighting this hatred together. We are united in protecting the fastest growing racial demographic in America. I'm proud to be Asian American, and I won't let that stop me or any of you today from reaching your full potential. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna Chung and I'm a senior at Westfield High School. First, by a show of hands, I would like to ask anyone if they ever heard the story of Vincent Chin. Okay, I see a few hands, and I don't blame you if you don't, because neither have I until 3 days ago. Vincent Chin was a 27-year-old Chinese American man who was brutally beaten to death by 2 white men in the 80s in Detroit. Because there was an economic recession in the country at this time, the auto industry of the United States was suffering, and many blame this on the rise of Japanese auto manufacturers. These men who worked in the auto industry mistook Chin for being Japanese and thus murdered him because they thought that his kind was the reason that they lost their jobs. The county judge did not sentence these men to any prison time and said, quote, "These aren't the kind of men you send to jail." Sadly, though Vincent's death has been talked about in Asian studies courses, it is still not known to the greater public, which speaks volumes to how this country disregards the Asian American experience. We are painted by the American media for being model minorities and are expected to keep quiet. We have been torn apart from other minorities by the media so they can defend the falsity of a race-blind America, and this must change. As a college student next year, I will continue to fight until every American knows our story, and until this country makes real legislation to combat Asian American hate crimes. As a community, we can only make change when we have solidarity, so thank you to everyone in the crowd who are allies of Asian Americans. Thank you to the Westfield Board of Education for taking a step in the right direction with the Power and Privilege High School course to educate our youth on the rich history of Asian Americans. And to my fellow Asian Americans in the crowd today, I have faith in your voice, and I hope you all have faith in mine. Thank you.
like a mother, like a daughter. All right, thank you very much. Now, let's conclude our peaceful protest. The last but not least, let's also welcome the freshman from Westfield High School, Sam Altman.
All right. Can everyone hear me? Okay. I'm Sam Altman, 9th grader at Westfield High School, and thank you all for coming to support such an important cause to me. The recent rise in hate crimes against Asian Americans is unacceptable and painful. It must stop. Okay? In order for hate and prejudice to stop, and not to be the norm anymore, we must unlearn what we already have learned and change what needs to be changed. We demand action. Yes, protests are all good, but we need action in DC, we need action in the governor's mansion, we need action. Okay? Racism has been going on a long time. Okay? But we must stop. We must hold our ground. We must stand our ground. We must hold every person accountable if they commit a racist action or make a racist comment. We must show that we're not messing around anymore. They're going to be held accountable. Sorry. I'm not done yet. Sorry. This microphone. Okay, anyways, so the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 was one of the starts of this Asian hate, kind of. Okay? During the Chinese Exclusion Act, Chinese hard-working immigrants couldn't come to the United States just because of their race. Then, in 1924, they had the Johnson-Reed Act, which banned all Asian Americans from coming to the United States just because their race. In order for this to stop, we must blend our cultures. We must educate others on our ideas, our traditions, our communities, and our stories and experiences. Okay? For example, one way we could stop this is through the school system. And we could have schools, community centers, and houses of worships. And they could go out and develop some outreach programs that support the message of inclusivity and provide platforms for individuals to come together. For now, because of COVID, this could range from Zoom gatherings that discuss literature, arts, history, and all topics of interest. And once COVID is over, this could lead to potluck gatherings, which could help families come together as one and share their rich traditions and their rich cultures. Sorry, I'm not done yet. Sorry. Okay. So, schools could also host assemblies that have guest speakers and children come up and share their ideas, share their background. And hopefully, once we can get the community to blend together as one, children, which are the new generation, are going to realize that their past prejudices are wrong and their perspectives are going to change. Compare it to my sticks I found. 2 sticks that are not together is worthless. But if you have one strong stick together, it's very hard to break. We must unite as a community. Okay? It is the community's job to help educate and foster a healthy learning environment for children to learn about their prejudices. It is the responsibility of the schools that upheld these same values and raise well-rounded children. If you see someone commit a racist action or a racist word, call them out on it. Tell them it's wrong. Be strong about it. Don't back away. I've made that mistake many times of backing away, even though I knew I should have stood up. And I'm going to end this finally, okay, on a quote by one of my dad's favorite artists, John Lennon, in the song Imagine. The world should live as one. We have to unite. We have to be a strong community together, and that's the way racism could end. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, what an energetic young man, and we see the hopes. I think we need to interview him for lots of good ideas. All right, today We have heard a lot of good remarks, heard a lot of good suggestions, and we feel very supportive. I'm very grateful to say so many of our members, friends, and neighbors come here showing their support, standing up and speaking up to make sure we're not alone in the fight against the hatred, to make sure our society doesn't regress, and also to make sure we can and will work together as one unified community. I thank each one of you for your time and support today, and this concludes our peaceful protest. Thank you very much. Have a good day.